And what are we plugging?
Your butt.
Ah! It's joke's on you. My butt's already plugged. Hey,
Ah!
y'all! It's another episode of the Black Tower Podcast. Tell us, make some noise. I don't care that you're driving in your car to work. I don't care that it's 11 o'clock at night and you're drunk and tired, but you thought, oh my God, it's a new episode of the Black Tower Podcast I haven't seen. I want you to make some noise. Because Mihail's in the tower. And you know what that means. It can only mean two things. One, either Billy Zane has let that python go again, or the Mihails are in the tower, which was the first example I gave. From all of us, all across the globe, uniting for a single cause, I tell you, I show you, I give you my introduction. Hi, I'm Josh. I'm the Soravan Mihail, and I enjoy water ice and escargot, but not at the same time.
I'm your Bajan Mihail, Andrew.
Hi, I'm your Amin Khan Mihail, Daniel. I like long walks on the beach and pina coladas.
Nice.
Oh, man. This is already starting to...
It's already off to a grand start.
Thing of an episode.
Loving it.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
All right. Oh, God, I forgot. That is one thing I forgot. I can't switch windows when I'm not on face. I got to do this window, not that window, because if I do this window, everybody in the chat can see it. So don't do that, Josh.
Hey, Josh. Don't.
Thanks, buddy. So for those of you listening along, you know we do our recordings on Tuesdays. We put the episodes live on Fridays. But if you want to get early access to that episode, or if you want to get access to our Patreon exclusive content, you do have to be a Patreon. You can join for less than $1 a month if you do the annual family member fee, which I think is like $11, like $10.50, something like that. But no, being a Patreon, it just, you know, we love your support. We love our patrons who support us. Every penny we get from that Patreon goes right back into the show. And it's why we're able to do cool things like the Gathering Madness this year at Evermore Park, October 14th. It's going to be really, really exciting. It's a lot of fun. So go to blacktowerpod.com. There's merch. There's a link to our Patreon. There's a link to our Discord. Do all three. You'll be happy you did.
You're going to like the way you look. I guarantee it.
Oh, yeah. For tonight's episode, I think we got something special. It's one of those, hi, Black Tower Podcast. Let's just come up with something ridiculous and talk about it for 2 hours. But you're going to have fun with it.
Sort of.
I
will go ahead and tell you a little bit about the origin of this particular topic in a moment. But lest I or anyone else says anything that you should not hear if your innocent ears have not finished all of the books, Andrew, would you be willing and able to go ahead and slide on that spoiler condom for all of our lovely fans?
Sure. Also, we're not recording next Tuesday.
That's right.
Oh, that's a good
July
point.
4th.
Yes.
Oh,
So
that
if
is
you're
true.
listening
Yes.
live. Yeah, we're not recording next Tuesday. We may do another day We hadn't locked it down yet. I don't think. Maybe we did. I don't know.
I think we have at this point, but again, we will double check, make sure, and let you know. But it will not be live on Tuesday, which only patrons will actually know that based on when this episode goes out. But that's okay.
Well, we'll put it in the Discord so that they can at least read it and be like, okay.
Yeah, episode
Absolutely.
release.
So that nobody
Episode
has
release
to
will
pull
be
themselves
unaffected.
away from the keg and the fireworks to come and
Yes.
do what's more important and listen to us.
Exactly.
Yes.
Or, well, Daniel.
You can do it a different day and be fine.
Because Josh wouldn't be there Tuesday anyway.
That is accurate.
Because he has, I don't know, this weird thing like a family to do stuff with.
It is
Crazy.
weird.
What?
It is weird, man.
Who do
Fucking
that?
loser. But speaking of someone that's not a loser, here's a registered nerd with this week's spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning.
This is your Black Tower podcast, Wheel of Time spoiler warning. There are neither beginnings nor endings to spoilers, but this is a beginning. If you continue to listen, you may be cursed with the knowledge yet to come. These curses may include knowledge that you are, in fact, just a farm boy. Drinking one glass of wine now leads to mustache pulling and a hell of a hangover. Resigning that you will never be as good with the ladies as your friends are. Realizing Androl is bae, regardless of your gender or sexual orientation. The inability to stop tugging your braid in anger, even if you don't have hair. And understanding that the word taint is simultaneously a noun, adjective, and verb. Discovering you have more titles than actual name. The BDE, also known as Big Dragon Energy, becomes undeniable. Finding yourself promising to read A New Spring and never getting to it. An uncontrollable urge to argue over inconsistent pronunciations. Knowing
It's
that hating
Nineveh,
God
isn't
is
it?
a responsibility, not a privilege.
Nineveh.
Again, there are no beginnings or endings to spoilers, but this is a beginning. You have been warned.
Excelente, registered nerd.
That brings up another good point, is that the people watching our live recordings get access to all of our fun screen shenanigans that we can do live, but we cannot do in the recording. So
That is true.
there it is.
Well, I mean, we can do in the recording as well. It just takes more effort. You
effort
could
I'm
edit
not
those in.
willing to commit.
Yeah, I was going to say, you could put those in, but none of us is judging you for not doing that. All right.
I love it.
So, let's talk a little bit about today's topic, and then we can basically dive right in. A while ago, we actually did an episode on whether the creator was still around. And talking about theories that sort of I had found online and people had brought up at Jordan Cons that we had been to and things like that, of why is it that the creator doesn't seem to actually try to touch the world the same way that the Dark One does. And one of the suppositions for that was that the creator actually destroyed itself in the making of creation. And that is why it is no longer an entity. But I've heard other theories, and I've seen other theories on Reddit and by talking to people and things like that. And I will say that the origins long suspected reveal that Nakomi is actually the avatar of the creator, the same way that Shadar Haran is the avatar of the Dark One, does throw a little bit of a wrench in the engine of these conversations. But at the same time, I think that they're still valid because, again, our philosophies, our laws of physics, our understanding of these entities is to a certain extent woefully underprepared because we are human and they are not. They do not have to follow all of the laws that we do, whether they be physical or emotional or philosophical or theological. That's literally kind of the point.
It's the
And
inverse.
therefore,
They're the only humans and we're all gods. It's actually the inverse. Humans have no restrictions, but gods have a lot.
that is also possible.
That's why we make
But-
make the existence of God sound so nice to us, because you're like, oh, limitless power, that must be so nice.
Except
It's just like long living denial. It's just that's all
Right.
it is.
But the other theory that I had sort of heard that I am interested in exploring a little bit is the idea that, and we've actually brought it up on the show before, so this might sound somewhat familiar, is the idea that the Dark One and the Creator are actually the same entity. That they are sort of two sides of the same coin. And that they are an all-powerful or mostly powerful or whatever you want to call it sort of being that is doing what needs to be done to push creation through its growing pains, if you will, to become something more, or to just continue to have people care about their day-to-day lives or things like that. And that somewhat akin to the conversation that Rand has at the end of the story of realizing that the Dark One and his chaos is sort of necessary in the world to make it not bland, make it not boring, make it not sepia, if you will. That the Dark One and the Creator are actually one being playing both parts. So I wanted to go ahead and get your thoughts, my co-host's thoughts on this theory in general, whether it works, whether it doesn't work, whether you guys know of things in the story that make it completely unviable. One of the reasons that I actually think it's a sort of a fascinating theory is sort of the idea of the Dark One's claim that he only ever needs to win once. But also sort of that implying on some level that the Dark One has never won before, at least in this world, because he only needs to win once. And since the wheels in the sky keep on turning, that means that the Dark One hasn't won. So the
Solid
question
Journey
becomes, does the Dark One actually have a stake in winning? Or is it just the Creator playing the Dark One and the Creator, and therefore doesn't really want to win, but wants to give the world spice? So he threatens to win all the time to have humanity bare their teeth and be better.
Just
But
a
at the same
sassy,
time-
enthusiastic theater kid.
Right?
or
But
the
never
old man from the old
actually
Pixar
allows him to
movies,
win.
short movies,
Uh.
playing chess with himself.
Right? Kinda. So anyway, we'll start with Josh, because you look like you have more thoughts. In terms of like while I was talking, you were showing more thoughts.
Oh, good. I've got you fooled.
You don't have to go first. I just
Head full of
figured I'd
dumb.
toss the ball to you.
Okay.
You are more than welcome to pass it down to Andrew. I don't mind.
I feel like this is an intriguing subject because there's so much that we don't know about this and or these entities. We do know that at least one of them does in fact exist, as evidenced by the fact that Rand literally imposes the Dark One onto the pattern for a brief period of time. Yeah, it's an interesting thought. Do I think they're like the same No, I'm not going to say they're the same. Do I think that they are more likely to be, basically two entities with nothing better to do, so they have a wager and they're like, let's go, let's see. It's what Reese Sedai brought up with the bar wager theory. I like that one, but my reasoning for this, and my reasoning for even being hesitant with that one, though, is that when the Dark One wins, presumably the wheel will be destroyed, the great serpent that drives the wheel of time will be killed, the loom will stop, and the pattern of ages will no longer be woven. And to me, that suggests basically an end to all things.
A
And then,
finality,
what you've got then is the Dark One and the Creator, or the Dark Creator, just kind of sitting there going, yeah, cool. Now what do I do? There's literally nothing. And I kind of feel like, and this also brings into question ties that the Dark One has to the pattern. Because the Dark One is obviously a part of the pattern. And the Creator is obviously a part of the pattern. So,
what makes you say that?
Well, if for nothing else, the Dark One had a thread in the pattern for a moment, for a brief window in time. But so much of what happens for good or for evil is influenced by the likes of Nakomi, by the likes of Shadar Haran. And you can say that those people, as avatars of the Dark One and the Creator, whether or not that's a single entity or a dual purpose single entity or two entities entirely, whatever the case may be, I do hold, maybe not directly, but maybe by the transitive property of influence or the transitive property of attachment, the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. They're part of the pattern in that way. And so I have to believe that the destruction of, you could also say, you could also throw this out too. The Dark One and the Creator are two separate entities, but one of them wins and creates the pattern and imprisons the other one. And then the other one's like, oh no, I don't want to be in this prison anymore. I'm going to destroy everything you made and remake mine. So the Creator bound the Dark One at the beginning of creation, and the Dark One is bound. And I don't know, man. There's a lot. It's just so much. The parameters are so vague. It's real difficult to kind of fall in on a single track, if that makes. Not that I've blundered on for a few moments without actually saying anything. Andrew, what do you got, buddy?
An absolute obsession with how shitty my webcam looks to me. Changed it to 720 and it looks better. I think that's the problem. My settings on... I reinstalled Windows for anybody listening and or watching. So all of my stuff is back to default, which means back to suck-ass fucky.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Which is the worst setting you can set your stuff to. So I'm like, why does my 4K webcam look like an absolute potato? And yeah, because I'm an absolute potato. It's like 50,000 settings. Anyway, I don't think they're the same person. I don't. For me, my explanation as to why the Creator is so laissez-faire with the world is very, very boring and expected. I think it boils down very simply to a writer greatly influenced by the very strong Judeo-Christian traditions of the southern United States, into the modern era and this kind of like post Roman Empire where you have a devil that is ever present, always interfering with life, making things hard for everybody, or trying to tempt everybody, aka the Dark One. And you have a God or Holy Trinity or whatever group you believe in, um, or would call that is pretty much hands off and observant, and doesn't become hands on until like the end is nigh. Um, thus, for me, that's now with the explanation that Nakomi is in fact the avatar of the creator. That's why Nakomi comes in, because we're within a year and a half, 2 years of the end, and it very much follows in line with comparisons to like the Book of Revelations, with the wise men appearing in Jerusalem and things of that nature. Um, to me, that's it. It's not the exciting explanation.
Don't play with wax, kids.
Oh, I thought you were missing a finger for a second. I was like, what the hell happened?
Sorry. Continue, please, Andrew. I'm sorry.
Oh. Um, but yeah, no, it's not a very exciting theory, and it's definitely not an in-world theory as to why things are the way they are. Um, but I do agree with the concept that yeah, the Dark One does only have to win once. Um, because if your entire goal is to destroy space time and therefore also destroy the multiverse and all the different Spider-Mans in it by destroying the multiverse, you only need to do it once. Um, I yeah. Um, I don't think they're parts of the pattern either. I don't think they ever were or blip into it. Matter of fact, I think them not being part of the pattern is what makes it so hard for the Dark One to win. That him being intrinsically, physically separated from the pattern and the lace of ages, not the ace of lages.
The
Right.
Ace of
It's like my
Rage!
it's my my Muttersprecher, my mother tongue. Um, because we see like him continuously trying to influence the world by doing like these bubbles of evil, these things that happen to float along different people's threads and encounter different people's threads that cause then effects on the world through interacting with them, that cause problems. And I think it's intrinsically harder to destroy something that you can't physically actually touch yourself. Makes things a little bit harder. So I think the most dangerous point for all of humanity in the series, as Rand came to the conclusion that it was as well, but for different reasons. He was like, yeah, I shouldn't destroy the Dark One because the world without the Dark One is just as bad as the world with only the Creator, or no world. I think at that moment where Rand's like, I'm going to pull you into the pattern so that you're vulnerable. I think the Dark One was sitting there the whole time, like, yes. And maybe that's why he's never won in any of the other multiple realities, because nobody has either had the strength, the thought, or the ability, or they've come to the same conclusions. Let me not pull the guy who's trying to destroy all of reality into reality, uh, because we were trying to seal him away so that he couldn't destroy the world, and he only touched the male half of power and ruined it for all of us for a couple thousand years. Um, so I think that might have been one of Robert Jordan's hints. I don't know. Or Shadi was here, I'm sure he'd show me 37,000 articles and questions and answers is why I'm wrong, which I would absolutely welcome, because forever improving in our theory. Um, but yeah, no, that's fine. But I think they're separate. They're separate entities. I mean, if the theme of the books is balance, then if you've got the ultimate quote unquote good guy, then I think you by nature have to have the ultimate bad guy. I don't think that they can exist as the same body. Um,
Well, but what if you have just the ultimate balanced guy? And they can do both.
Like the actual
No.
Zen Buddha. Like
No, it's interesting, and I like that you actually sort of made a choice there and are sort of sticking to it and whatnot. I have a new question that is sort of brought on by this in some ways. We lost Andrew for a second.
oh, I'm still here. I just turned
Okay,
off the
good.
webcam.
Gotcha.
I was just curious to see if I could actually change it to 1080p, and I can't.
No,
okay.
that's unlocked at the higher level.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. Well, it looks better at 720, so now I'll just get to fuck around with the rest of the settings and hopefully not distract anybody with ADD or ADHD that watches this.
I mean, you're good for it. Squirrel! I mean, no,
Why does it go purple?
So there's sort of a new thought as far as that. That is one that I've had before and we have toyed with before as well. But it springs up in this moment. Is the idea of, do you guys think that the Dark One and the Creator are of a same power level, if you will? Are they actually both as capable as the other one, or is one of them stronger than the other? Because, of course, again, at the beginning of this particular story, we are told / we know / whatever you want to call it, that the Creator was able to bind the Dark One away from the pattern. And make creation without the Dark One's influence to a certain extent. And that presumably at some point it was man that drilled into the Dark One's prison and unleashed the Dark One on the pattern. Which, again, based on our understandings of power levels and whatnot, would suggest, not necessarily say outright, but suggest that then the Creator would presumably be stronger than the Dark One if he was actually able to imprison the Dark One away from the creation. Now again, Josh's...
then humanity's ability to channel would be stronger than the Creator's because they could break into his prison. Or it was by design imperfect.
There's a lot going on there. Yeah. And so again, a lot of this is weird power rules and things like that. But again, let's go back for a moment to Josh's sort of brought up theory and Reese's sort of brought up theory that I think is a very interesting one, and get your thoughts. Do you think that the Creator and the Dark One are actually of the same sort of power level, and that the Dark One in this case has allowed himself to be imprisoned? Or do you think there's something else going on where either they're both of the same power level, but the Creator tricks the Dark One into being imprisoned, or manipulates the Dark One into being imprisoned, or gets the jump on the Dark One to imprison him, or whatever? Or do you think that the Creator is stronger than the Dark One, which is how he ended up imprisoning him in the first place? And I'm going to pop over to Andrew first, since we went to Josh first last time.
I think they are of equal power. It's just counter complements. I think the Creator is unparalleled in their ability to create. And I think the Dark One is unparalleled in his ability to destroy. So I think it becomes a bit of an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. It's kind of... I know it happens a lot in like Naruto and across all kinds of mythos. In Naruto, they make reference to I believe it's called the Yakata shield and the Tsunagi blade. So you have like the mirror shield, literally like the shield that can reflect everything, and the sword that can slice anything. Not really how they work in the show, but same thing. Which would win if they went against each other? And the answer is, well, either nothing would happen, or like all of the creation would just disappear from the conflict. It's that kind of age-old.
You just divide by 0.
Yeah. That's all. That's why Itachi
That's
was actually
all you have to do.
His Susanoo had both the Yakata mirror and the Tsunagi blade. So he could divide by 0 and just take out everybody, but instead he just killed his whole family. So there's that.
That's cool. That's what you do.
Yeah. I mean, he had a good reason. Maybe.
Okay.
Anyway,
that actually bears out a new question.
I think
for
it's
me.
just complimentary.
So that
Well, not
actually brings
complementary,
up
but counter complementary.
sure. That actually brings a new question for me that I actually want to address before we go over to Josh for his thoughts. If there is no creation, then like the pattern creation, uh, does the Dark One have anything to do?
Yeah, keep the creator from creating. I think that's more of their eternal fight. Like, I think the reason there actually is a full-on multiverse in story is because the creator is forever creating. He's just spending his whole time creating more and more and more and more universes that are going on. Just keep spinning out creation. That is your job as the creator. And in theory, for the creator, the more creation that exists, the more that exists to fight against the guy trying to destroy everything you're making.
All right.
And
That's fair.
so you kind of have that. I mean, to me, they kind of each have their role.
Sure.
And who knows? That might also explain why in this world we don't really see the creator interact that much because he's busy actually making shit. And the Dark One's just like, eeny, meeny, my, fuck this Rand this time. Oh, no, okay, he beat me. Okay, fuck that Rand this time. Because that just gave me another thought. What if the seal around the Dark One's prison has become very porous? And it's as he jumps to trying to interact with different realities is like kind of when it's permeable enough for somebody to kind of reach into the prison, and like that's like the waypoints he uses to figure out which reality he's going to try to defeat the creator in. Not saying it's right, but it's an
Kind of
interesting
like that.
thought.
Yeah. All right, Josh. What are your thoughts on this whole piece of it, as far as the general power level of the entities, or again, possibly if we want to go back to the theory that they're one, sort of the understanding of what's going on here.
So when you start talking about like eternity and beings outside of space-time, you start having to sort of redefine words. And I know that's going to sound real like schmarmy, but hear me out for just a second. What does it mean to put someone in prison? You limit the amount of space that they can travel, right? If you have someone imprisoned, you limit the amount of space that they can travel. Now, this amount of space that they can travel is not zero. They've got a, what is it, a 10-foot by 10-foot cell or whatever the case may be. They've got a yard that they can go out and walk around in. They've got phone access to the
Daniel,
outside.
just turn enough where I could see how long your mustache is actually against your backdrop. And I am very impressed, sir. I normally see you like straight on, so it's like hard to. Sorry.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get like a lot of facial hair wax for WatCon, and we're gonna have to do our facial hairs up all fancy.
Sounds good. I like that. But continue, Josh.
So,
also, I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Andrew.
It is a glorious mustache. It is. I like it a lot too.
Mustache, your mustache. Everyone say the word mustache.
Mustache? So, in terms of them being the same power level, I'm going to say yes, that they're equal.
Okay.
But kind of exactly what Andrew was just saying. And I think there's a really good illustration of this in Mistborn. And I won't go past book 1 because I know
Thank you.
You're not.
Thank you very much.
But you have preservation and you have ruin. Two gods that are equally opposed to each other. And so
that's not in book 1 of Mistborn, but continue.
Well, you have those. It doesn't spoil anything for you.
I appreciate that. It doesn't sound like it, but also like just so that you're aware.
Basically, the point I'm getting to is that these two entities are equal, but they have exactly opposite embodiments, exactly opposite missions and skills. So if I want to push something over, and someone else is saying, no, you can't push that over, and they have my exact same power, well, I can push and push and push, and that person can also push and push and push, but we're not going to move anything. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to get anywhere with that. I feel like when you say, and this goes back to my original point of the Dark One being imprisoned, I feel like when you say the Dark One was imprisoned at the moment of creation, I feel like the moment of creation was an imprisonment upon the Dark One, because the Creator gained that amount of almost perfect influence over the foreseeable space-time continuum. And the Dark One was now very limited on the chaos he could sow. Was now very limited on, now all I can do is influence people. On the rare occasion I can talk to someone. Then you have the foolish humans of the Second Age, the Age of Legends, who drilled into the spot outside the creation. And this is a very interesting point too. We don't know why they thought that particular mountain was the great access to the Dark One. We just know that's what they thought. Well, no, they knew that spot was the access to a greater power. Mm-hmm. Did the Dark One set that up? Did the Dark One go here, right here? And is that why when they bored into it, only the Dark One's influence came by? Is the Creator's influence already spent actively creating the world around them?
Was that spot already thin between them before they drilled the hole? Because I thought that's what made the spot thin. No, it's like it's like a genuine question because I don't remember.
No.
Or is it like
what I'm saying
6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other? We don't know.
Yeah. What I was going to say is that it is so unclear as to make answering this question technically impossible. But again, I think that what really is clear is that is where the Dark One was, if you will. If there was any physical space that the Dark One was taking up outside the pattern, that was the point where they could get to it easiest. So you could call that thinning, or you could call it something else or whatever. But that was the spot that they discovered the power, which is the Dark One, effectively.
Which then raises the question, which may indicate also that the Dark One maybe had influence before. If the veil between reality and what exists in between realities was thinnest there, were they just innately drawn to this area to create the Column Dome and then the Sharome?
It's entirely possible.
Was it thin enough that the Dark One influenced them to hey, that candy in the back of the van?
There is also a third possibility of they built these things in this space, and so literally anywhere in creation could have actually accessed the Dark One's prison, because the Dark One's prison is outside of time and space. But where they built the Column Dome and the university is where they were doing all of the experiments to find new power. So that is where they discovered the power, because it could have been all around them, but that's where they were studying. And so if your Minesweeper says that there are mines literally everywhere, if you pick a spot, that's where a mine is. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
You can pick any spot, and wherever it is that you actually click, that's where a mine is.
The bore was an inside job.
Wait, okay.
Schrodinger's mine.
We know power flows don't melt Creator beams.
We know that Dark Friends existed even in that time. And if the avatar of the Dark One and the avatar of the Creator are upon the Earth, walking the Earth, I'm not saying they are. I'm saying it's a very good chance that Shadar Haran is going to Dark Friends and being like, hey, I need you to put this information in the report. Cool. I need you to do
Made me
this. I
think of
need
the
you to
scene
do
where
that.
like Joker shows up at the hospital and talks to Harvey Dent. Hi.
Right? It could be, though. Do I really look like a guy with a plan? I love that line so much.
Just staring at what was her name, Mirren? Introduce a little chaos.
Yeah.
Watch, I'm gonna make the shock lens disappear.
You really think we're just gonna let you walk out of here? Yeah. I love. That's probably my favorite line. Like the whole thing is just the way he delivered it. You think we're just gonna let you walk out of here? Yeah. Like what? Like I don't care about you. Get out of here, loser.
Blow this out of
Yeah. No, so I find it interesting. And I'm actually going to take my comment back. I don't think it matters where they drilled. I don't think it matters where they drilled. I think the creator is utilizing the creator's full invested power in running this crazy pattern of ages. I think that the act of creating so much has the creator taxed, and that's why the creator is depending on an avatar, champions from the heroes of the Horn, the Dragon Reborn as a champion of the creator directly. I think that's why the creator depends on those things, because it takes a long time for the Dark One to be able to influence humanity. I mean, it could be tens of thousands of years for all we know. And this could be the one piece of the cycle. Yes, 3,000 years, but it's a blip.
Give you such a crick in the neck.
It's a blip in the grand scheme of things. So between the Age of Legends and the end of the Third Age, you've got the Dark One making a full court press because that's the window of opportunity. That's maybe the only window of opportunity in the entire cycle of ages. So you've got an interesting sort of conundrum there, because I don't think it matters where they drilled. I think they were going to get the Dark One, because the Dark One's powers of chaos were sort of limited. So the Dark One had potential energy. If we want to start getting into like scientific terms, the Dark One had potential energy, where the creator was expending the full breadth of the creator's kinetic energy.
Drill in the column dome or in the Sharom. Drill at Kyrian. It all arrives just the same. Or rather, the Dark One jizzes in your eyes and ears.
And ears.
All your plans, and it just brought you back to me.
Back to me.
And where did it bring you?
Shy.
Back to me. So I actually have a couple of thoughts on what Josh just said, and I kind of want to throw them out here and get your sort of response / thoughts. So I will admit that based on the word that Robert Jordan chooses to use on some level, that I have always thought of it very much as the Dark One is imprisoned in a space. Like Josh said in some ways, that he's got his movement is limited. He's now in a 10-foot by 10-foot space, blah, blah, blah. That sort of idea of a prison. But I'm now thinking, like, what if the creator imprisoning the Dark One is literally just, he puts sort of a coating on all of his creations, that the Dark One isn't actually imprisoned anywhere. It's that creation is imprisoned from the Dark One.
There's just a bunch of bouncers.
I mean,
there's a defensive line around all of creation. How can you restrict someone to a finite space or a specific space or a specific amount of space when by their very nature, along with your own, you exist outside of space and time.
Look,
Well, and I will admit that
exactly.
when it
It's
comes
like
Exactly.
right
the
down to it,
effect. The effect may not match what the word imprisonment means
yes,
to us physically, but physics only applies in the physical world, or in
And
areas that are affected by physics.
and
They
this
exist
is
outside of all that.
exactly and this is exactly why I said we have to start talking definitions of imprisonment, because that means a completely different thing to someone who already does not exist, who is already not bound
the limit does
by
not exist.
space and time. Like,
Yes,
I like what Flamingo said. It's just a layer of clear coat on all of creation.
it'll buff out.
but I have another question that I sort of am realizing based on sort of what Josh was sort of blundering on, as he said before.
Blundering on is my speciality.
So I maybe I should double check before I actually sort of say this as far as what our
Just whip it out. Just whip it
topics
out.
are. But the heroes of the Horn, are those actually tied to the creator in any way? Because that feels like a big advantage that the creator would have. Because, of course, again, you could kind of look at sort of Nabliss or like the Dark One being able to give access to the true power and whatnot to certain channelers of his followers and whatnot as a foil to the dragon, which is clearly sort of a not a creator avatar, but a champion of the creator and whatnot. Like that's its intended role and things like that. Even though they claim that the Dark One can fight, or that the dragon can fight for the shadow, but like it never happens in the story that we read. So like on some level, it feels like the dragon is kind of a champion of the light and things like that. But the Dark One clearly has power that he can resurrect souls. And both of them sort of have these avatars. And the Dark One shows an ability to sort of set bubbles of evil or like stroke the world and have these bubbles of evil come out or whatever it is that you want to call it. But
There's a fart joke
what are
there.
the comparable creator powers? Like, are we actually saying that the creator has all of these things that it can do as well that are comparable? Or is it just a situation where it made creation already and that was its comparable like, what are your thoughts on sort of that whole
Well, we've talked about the
kettle of
Weaver,
fish?
right? We've scratched the surface on talking about there must be a Weaver. If there's a wheel and a loom, there must be a Weaver. And that's kind of the inspiration for why I say the creator is busy actively weaving the pattern of ages. Now, if that stops for any reason, say the creator gets up to go take a pee, what happens to the pattern? It doesn't continue. Everybody goes
Is that true?
until everything comes back up. The threads aren't being woven at that time. So time presumably is not moving for our experience.
Well, so my question is, the wheel moves.
Yes.
And it is being pushed by Sidene and pulled by Sidar.
Correct.
And it is indetermined whether Sidene and Sidar actually come from the creator. It is basically confirmed that the true power comes from the Dark One.
Correct.
But it is not necessarily, as far as I am aware, it is not a confirmed thing that the one power is the inverse of the true power, if you will. That it comes from the creator and therefore is. So presumably, if the wheel keeps going, then the loom keeps producing patterns. Now, the creator, presumably, if they are the weaver or whatever you want to call in some ways, loses their ability if they are not active and paying attention to weave out Taviran and weave out the dragon and weave out, different things like that. But does the loom actually
Well,
stop looming? Stop weaving if the creator stops doing those things? Are they the weaver?
So, based on what I understand from the actual workings of a loom, right? You've got your big huge thread bed. You've got it's arranged in a certain way. You've got your shuttle. You push it down, you weave the shuttle through, you pull it back, you weave the shuttle through, and as that happens, you're essentially weaving a pattern, right?
Yes.
That's a very basic explanation.
Yes.
So my understanding then becomes, if the serpent is what moves the wheel,
Okay.
then we could say the serpent is the creator.
Can we?
Or we can say that the serpent that moves the wheel is, I don't know what the animal form of personification is, but it's an embodiment of Saidin and Saidar moving the wheel in order to move the pattern of ages.
Because what you just suggested means that the Dark One is saying that he's going to kill the creator.
That is his goal.
Okay, but then that would suggest that they are not... what your earlier comment, and this is a question because I would like you to clarify that if the Dark One wins, then they're not just sitting there with the creator and the Dark One just being like, what do we do now? It would just be the Dark One sitting there being like, well, what do I do now?
Wait, yes, and that becomes the question: is what's the end game for the Dark One? Does he just want to sit in chaos for the rest of time and eternity? Does the Dark One just be like, yes, no order?
If you destroy creation, is there chaos?
If you just see that, I would say no. I would say that an absolute nothing is similar to an absolute zero.
Everything? Yeah.
Which would be no energy.
Mm-hmm. Dark One is just Civ 5 Gandhi after the atomic era. A little bit of integer overflow, and they go from being the nicest guy to kill them all.
I mean, you've got an interesting thing. Now,
see, I dispute the nature of the Heroes of the Horn.
I was not necessarily suggesting that they were actually a creator tool, but I've heard it before, so it's definitely a theory that some people ascribe.
And that's why I dispute. I don't think that that by design and by inherent nature they are a tool of the creator. I think the individuals that have elected to become Heroes of the Horn serve the light and continue to do so, and they defend the ranks from people that would do otherwise. Because
which is, of course, why they suggest that if a person that was of the shadow were to blow the horn, then the heroes of the horn would not be bound to the light. They could fight for the shadow. Now, again, we never see that bear out. There are disputes as far as that actually being able to happen, but it is a submission that someone in the book makes.
Yeah, because they say that they fight of their own accord and they fight for the light. Doesn't say that they fight of their own accord because they fight for the light or any combination that implies that they're bound to the light other than by their own choices.
Correct.
And the way Otter Hawkwing describes it, assuming he is reliable, because he has not been alive forever, but yet he also had. It's one of those weird things, I guess. He says that if someone loyal to the shadow blew the horn, they could refuse to serve them. Not that they
Yes.
must refuse to serve them.
Yes.
And then of course, then the big question comes up. Okay, well then, if they have their own free will to serve, what about the dragon banner? It's like, well, the Horn of Valir in and of itself is a ter'angreal, and it
Seemingly.
seems that indications would all be that the dragon banner is then also a ter'angreal. And if one can be created, or an artifact can be found, or I think it's actually called the Horn of Valir is actually known as an artifact, not a ter'angreal.
Yes.
Seems to function the same way. But if a physical object that can be studied does exist, and it has the ability to touch and at least open a pathway for people from Teleron Rad to come into the waking world, just like we can open a gateway and go into the world of dreams. It stands to reason that somebody somewhere figured out a way to make a ter'angreal that can compel service, given the fact that we have binding chairs and binding rods and all
That is
other
true.
manners of making people do what I want because I'm
'Cause
stronger
fuck you,
than
that's
Lord
why.
Voldemort ever wished he could be. So,
All right.
yeah.
I
So
like
I mean,
this.
I think it winds up being an advantage for the forces of the light, and
But not necessarily inherently one.
yeah.
I
I think the creator's very happy about it.
Yeah. But not that it's a forceful
Yeah.
thing
Well,
that the creator
yeah.
has done.
Because they can also choose when they leave. Because they
Also
can
true,
choose
yeah.
not to be a hero of the horn anymore as well,
Correct.
and just go back to their normal life. But they know that if they make that decision, then when they die now, or when they get forcibly spun back out, kind of when the wheel just says, "Hey, now it's your time," versus when they say, "I don't want to be tied to the horn anymore," that they'll lose their memories from whenever they started being a hero to whenever they decide they no longer want to be a hero anymore.
Correct.
Just like anybody else spun back out would,
I
even
Yep.
after death.
I am absolutely actually deeply fascinated with the Horn of Valir.
Mm-hmm. As well you should be.
Because
It's a fascinating piece of this story.
like even in the Age of Legends, it was a mystery. Like
Mhm.
even in the Age of Legends, they didn't know how it worked. Now, there is a
Well, we're told that.
What happens is it opens a gateway, and no matter which way the horn sounder looks, they're always looking at the very side of the gateway, so they can never see it. It's just one massive troll.
It's actually a 2D gate.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Imagine if that
Thanks,
came out,
guys.
the Horn of Valir was just like a predetermined 2D gateway with a weave that hid it from you.
That's actually pretty hilarious.
That'd be
All right. Well,
fucking-
Well, I'm thinking here, and so I don't believe that there's, as we see, right, there is the Horn of Valir is not bound to anyone except the horn sounder.
Yep.
Whoever sounds the horn is now bound to them until that person dies, and then it's bound to whomever blows it again. We know that the heroes of the horn are there voluntarily, and there's some Marvel Mjolnir-esque standard for deciding who is worthy to join the ranks of the heroes of the horn. We don't know what that criteria is, but we do know that plenty of people turn it down. As evidenced by the fact that when the heroes of the horn are talking to Matt goes, "Am I one of you?" And they all laugh and they go, "Ha ha! Joining us is a choice, gambler, and no, you're not one of us." Like, that suggests to me that the last time Matt's soul was spun out and then died, the horn representative was like, and he was like, "No, not just no, but hell no. Not just hell no, but fuck no. Not just fuck no, but fuck you and fuck all the other heroes, and don't ever come back for me and mine ever again." Like, I have to imagine he made a scene because of their reaction to him asking.
I'm
But
pretty sure that the last time it happened, it was just somebody who didn't really didn't like Arter Hawkwing, and Arter Hawkwing is the Horn representative, and he came down and he was like, "Hey, buddy, you want to be one of us?" And he was like, "If you're a hero of the Horn, I never want to be a hero of the Horn."
and then the other heroes were like, "Yeah, we misread that one. We should not have sent him."
I mean, we get the one hint because there is like a prophecy or whatever of the horn,
Right.
that Ingtar cites for us. It says, "Let whoever sounds me think not of glory, but only of salvation." Which might be another reason why they're like, no one in the shadow would ever. We'd never fight for them because they always think of glory and not salvation.
And this is why I apologize. I know this is a roundabout way to make this case, but I believe that the horn, though the horn itself is not tied or bound in any way to the creator, it is its own artifact. The heroes of the horn, I think it's very clear, are bound to the horn, not to the creator.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever blows the horn will have the ability to command the heroes, but even then, the heroes can decide not to serve whomever blows the horn, with one exception. And that is what Andrew was talking about earlier, where Rand has the dragon banner. And if the Dragon Reborn is riding underneath the dragon banner, and someone sounds the horn, and Lews Therin says, "Go forth and kill," every hero of the horn will go forth and kill.
Now, what if the dragon has actually been turned and is fighting for the side of the shadow?
Yeah, see, we've gotten completely off on another topic, and that is totally okay. Again, that is what we often do on these metaphysics.
It's the best player on the other guy's team.
Right? Exactly. All right, so this has been a fascinating discussion. Please, please, please let us know your thoughts in the comments below, whether they be y'all motherfuckers are wrong and here's why, whether that be I'm pretty sure Andrew is actually right about everything and here's why. Whatever it is that you guys think, just let us know. Whatever direction that is, whether it be comments on Twitter, whether it be comments on YouTube, whether it be comments on Discord. For all of the invites to all of those things, as far as Discord and our socials are concerned, you can go to blacktowerpod.com. It also has all of the up-to-date information on the Gathering Madness as well, just blacktowerpod.com/TGM. So please go and find that stuff and let us know all of your thoughts. But this has been a fascinating episode. I think that final thoughts are kind of a moot point here because I'm not even sure we all had initial thoughts.
Final thoughts. My final thoughts. This is a creator. Yay light. And blue shadow.
There you go. Well, apparently we know what side Josh
myself
is on when he's drunk. But thank you all for listening to this week's episode of Taint. I will let Josh thank you for all of the wonderful things that he usually thanks you for. And we will sign out in just a moment. Josh.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being amazing. Thank you so much for being the best damn Wheel of Time fans. Scientifically proven in history. In the history of Wheel of Time fans, nobody has ever been as awesome as you. No, don't move. No, you. Nothing compares to you. From all of us at the Black Tower, we thank you for tuning in for your weekly dose of Taint, and we hope that you're just a little bit more insane than you were when you first got here. So, that's me. I'm Josh. Sorrow on my hail. Sorrow on my hail.
Thank you all for being here as well. I hope to see many, if not all of you, at WatCon. And if you can't make it there in person, virtual tickets are a thing. Go and check them out. WatCon.com for all that stuff. We'll be hanging out and doing fun stuff there. But I have been Andrew, your Bajan Mahale.
Get your
I'm
badass
about
Two
to-
Rivers shot glass
I'm about to
from.
drop a battle in the middle of Josh's guts.
Do it.
That's
Bring
true.
it. Bring it,
And
homie.
I've been your Amin Khan Mahale, Daniel, and I
Horrible.
thank the light that I am nowhere near Josh tonight because I have things to do, and I'm sure that I would get none of them done given how many shots he has had. But from all of us here at the Black Tower Podcast, thank you so much for being here. Thank you very much for listening. We hope that you are having a wonderful morning, and in case we don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good
Always
night.
watching, always running
Bye-bye.
the show.
And now you hit record.
In the tower, you can bring your pain. In the tower, you can feel the strain.
You've been having so much trouble just fitting in the tower.